Hey guys, so looks like the noose is getting tighter and tighter. What do I mean by that? Well, you guys see what's going on in Los Angeles? And obviously it was orchestrated by communists, literal Marxists. How do we know that? Because it's something demonic. Globalists, communists, and definitely to the benefit of Islamists. And now we had this whole situation where, Greta Thunberg and company were brought to Israel. And they tried to show them October 7th, the GoPro cameras. And they couldn't even look at it. They treated it like, she said Israel tried to show us propaganda. Okay. And then we have all these protests planned for June 14th, Saturday, all over, not we, they, all over America. They're not even protests, they're probably going to be riots or provocations. So my friends, the noose is tightening. And then we had a warning, the Jews have to watch their back. I mean, we always have to watch our back, right? But we have to be extra vigilant this Shabbat, That much we know. And it's just tightening and tightening and tightening. Everything seems quiet. It seems relatively, humming along, I guess. There's all these wonderful events and concerts planned for the summer. Jewish events. Jewish concerts. Music festivals. Shabbat weekends, etc., etc. Baruch Hashem. But, at the end of the day, we have to watch our backs. We have to watch our backs. And just understand that, it's chilly here. Understand that you can't just go outside as a Jew anymore, as an open Jew. I mean, you can, but I'm outside right now, right? Granted, it's evening and there's nobody out here and it's suburbs and Baruch Hashem, but still, right next door to us, guys, is a, American version of Ramallah, as I always like to say. This is the problem, guys, Jews don't know their own history, the cycles of their own history, and when, these kind of things start happening, no matter the country, they start blaming us. They start blaming us. Just because one guy with a Jewish last name decided to fund the whole thing. A couple of guys up to no good started making trouble in my neighborhood. So, of course, every single Jew gets to be blamed and run out of Dodge. So, my friends, I mean, now we have a situation where people on both sides of the so-called political spectrum are blaming us for this, that, and the other. Right? And we're going to be blamed for these riots also. Which, you know, whoever's orchestrating this, they want to get it to a point where it's on the brink of civil war. They're provoking Orange Man into, into using, again, into becoming a junta, a military junta. They want it to happen. They're so they can say, oh, you see, this is a military dictatorship. Look at all the tanks. He's doing the tanks and the military parades and this and that and the rockets and the missiles or whatever. I don't know. Whatever you bring out of military parades. He's a military dictator. Just like Pinochet. My friends, I'm not going to say it, but I know people that want Pinochet style stuff to happen. Because, guys, I mean, when it comes to Marxists and dealing with people like this, like today, Pelosi came out and said, oh, Trump didn't want to send National Guard. My friends, we all know she denied it. She refused it. Refused the National Guard on January 6th. My friends, they gaslight like crazy. They gaslight like crazy. Take it from me. Granted, I was a little kid when we left the Soviet Union, but take it from my parents. Marxists gaslight like crazy because they're demonic. They're satanic. They follow the precepts of Satan. That's what they follow. Right? That's what they follow. They don't have an honest bone in their body. Yes. And everything they do, their whole ideology is like, everything is by any means necessary. That's what this is, guys. It's by, the ends justify the means, by any means necessary. That's what this is. If you get it into your head that you're the good guys, and that your cause is just, so to speak, then whatever you do, however dirty and underhanded and just downright, I don't know, immoral, is justified. Just like with Israel and all the rest of it, guys, by any means necessary. They're justified, And you show them videos of what they did or what their cohorts did. No, it's a propaganda. We're not going to look at this. Anything you show us is by definition invalid. Because we say so. Why? Because we say so. My friends, that is peak narcissism. There's no other word for it. I know the word gets used a lot, overused, has been losing its meaning lately, but that is what this is. My friends, I was talking to somebody, not this Shabbos, but the previous Shabbos, and they asked me, they overheard me talking about Israel and all that stuff. This is an ostensibly, I guess, pro-Israel person, and they told me, they work for a left-leaning so-called Jewish publication. They work for it. Doesn't mean they agree with everything the publication writes. And they said to me, what about this, they told me, I don't delve into politics so much. I don't watch all the stuff that's going on social media. I try to stay away from it. And they asked me, how do you know, like, oh, what about the starving kids in Gaza? And I said, what starving kids, And this person told me, all they hear from their boss at this publication that they're starving kids in Gaza. I said, I don't know where your boss gets their information from. and then they're like, and I said, you know that the food is intercepted by Hamas, and then anybody who tries to get the food is beaten and shot and killed and tortured, right? And they asked me, how do you know that? I said, she's like, I keep hearing that, but how do we know it's true? I said, she wasn't, trying to be like antagonistic. She was just asking. I said, all you got to do is go on Twitter and Telegram, And this person told me I don't talk about politics, especially not at work, or just in general, because it's triggering. My friends, anytime I hear that word, what is it? Princess Bride, you keep using that word. Triggering. I don't understand what that means. I don't know what that means. I don't know what this concept, triggering what? So basically any person, like if I want to tell the person the truth about something, and I want to talk to them about some topic, and we get into a discussion about something, and I mention something that happens to be the truth, but it's inconvenient to them to hear it. It happens to be something they don't like. I should not talk about it. I should shut my mouth because it's triggering to them. Or conversely, the person is just going to ignore or avoid talking about this topic because it's triggering for them. They cannot keep their emotions in check. They cannot think about this topic from an intellectual perspective. They don't have emotional intelligence. They are triggered. My friends, I mean, where are we? What are we doing? I know I'm kind of a little bit all over the place tonight, guys, but the point is, we have to be able to talk about these things because our enemies are just pretending to be triggered. They're not actually triggered. They are pretending to be triggered. They are gaslighting us. And they know that we, don't want to deal with the issue. Meaning, some of us just want to, quote unquote, live our lives. We don't want to look at what's going on in downtown Los Angeles. We don't want to look at what's going on in Israel. We don't want to look at what's going on anywhere. And I understand it's not good to always inundate yourself with with news. It's bad. I agree. But my friends, I mean, if you're living under a rock, you have a problem. Especially in this day and age. If you're a Jew and you're living under a rock and you say, oh, well, if it's my time, it's my time. My friends, I find it really ironic, the people who say, if it's my time to go, then it's my time to go. These are the same people who, that is a statement that implies that they're relying on God, right? So if God decides there's time to go, there's the time to go. Meanwhile, when it comes to everything else in their life, they'll be the first to tell you. What will they tell you? Oh, these are the same people now. God helps those who help themselves. My friends, it's got to be like that across the board. It's got to be like that across the board. God has to help those who help themselves. And it's true. So if this is what they're saying, the same people, then that means that you have to be, at the very least, be vigilant. I'm not even talking about buying an arsenal. I'm not talking about stocking up on like howitzers. I'm just talking about. So guys, supposedly I live in the suburbs, but every once in a while you see like all kinds of weird stuff at night. This is what I'm talking about. You gotta be vigilant. You see like drones and like all kinds of weird stuff. Like 11 o'clock at night. bizarre. Anyway, I'm not even talking about the Chinese drones. I'm talking about like drones that people here have, like hobbyists. Anyway, so my friends, you gotta. I'm not talking about stocking up on howitzers and tanks. Just be vigilant. You know, like if it's your time to go, it's your time to go. I guess. I mean, I don't know. Sounds a little bit suicidal to me. Yeah, guys. I mean, just look around. Just look around. You know, they just caught a lady from China. She was trying to bring in crap from Wuhan, some other virus from Wuhan into America. My friends, we know. Frank and I talk about this all the time. We know they're gonna try this again. We know they're gonna try this again. That's another thing, and these riots usually go hand in hand with these diseases. You know, it's like that's what goes together, like carrots and peas. You know, the riots and the viruses. What else can I say, my friends? And I'll just end with this one thing. Frank and I were talking about how all this stuff that's going on, it would be very nice to have the guidance of somebody like the Lubavitcher Rebbe today with everything that's going on, including, whether or not to raise your kid in like cities, for example, where a lot of religious Jews live in cities and like these glorified, I hate to say it, but like glorified concentration camps. Glorified, with Starbucks and all the rest of it. Starbucks and gym and whatever. Pilates and yoga and pickleball and all the fun stuff. We don't have any guidance anymore. We don't have any rabbis anymore. Real rabbis, real leaders. We don't have. So, my friends, what does that mean? That means that, and our sages said it, means Mashiach has to come, right? But we don't have Mashiach, so now we're in this kind of no man's land, literally. No rabbis, no Mashiach, just our own Emunah. And most of us, and I'm talking to myself right now, our Emunah is shaky when it comes to a lot of things in life, much less what's going on out there on our television screens, on our social media platforms, what we see. So, how are we going to get through this, guys? I don't know. Distractions? People are using distractions. All kinds of distractions, right? But what about folks who don't do distractions? Folks who would rather not distract themselves, or for whom distractions don't work, like myself. What about me? and other people like me. What? Alcohol, drugs? What? No. I say this as a person who sells wine from Eretz Israel. I don't recommend alcohol as a distraction. Yeah, with the bracha, with to elevate your Torah, to elevate your Shabbos, yes. As a distraction from everything that's going on, no. I've tried it, believe me. No. So guys, this is an Emunah game. This is a test of the Emunah, emergency Emunah system. This is only a test. Yeah. Hopefully we get pulled out of this sooner than later, because the way things are going, guys, Not a good look. Alright, my friends. I shall catch you on the flip side.